life.
Breaking news and stimulating talk. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
KVNU News Time is 5:03. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Roof Rescue. Utah's permanent state school fund and endowment created to support public schools has hit a record $3.3 billion, according to what Utah Treasurer Marlo Oaks announced Monday. In the upcoming school year, public schools are set to receive a record $106 million from the distribution from the fund, but schools could receive even more depending on how Utahns in November vote on a constitutional amendment that would raise the cap of distributions from the fund from 4% to 5%. If the amendment were already in place, that would mean an additional $13 million beyond the $106 million in land trust distributions. Oak said in a statement that Utah students are seeing the fruits of the prudent administration of trust lands and investment assets with the impressive growth of the fund. Distributions from the fund are also unique in the sense that individual schools determine the best use of the funds through their community councils made up of parents and educators. One school might use the funds to hire teaching aides, while another could opt to put more money into college preparation or career training. KVNU News Time is 5:04. KVNU weather, we do have a wind advisory in effect starting at 6 a.m. Thursday, going till 10 o'clock Friday morning for northeast winds 20 to 30 miles an hour with gusts up to 55 miles per hour. This is for the Cache Valley, eastern Box Elder County, down along the Wasatch Front as well. Gusty winds will blow around unsecured objects. Tree limbs could be blown down, and a few power outages might result. Other than the winds, a slight chance of rain showers this evening, low in the mid-30s. Chance of rain showers in the morning, chance of rain showers and a slight chance of thunderstorms in the afternoon on Thursday. Partly sunny. It will be warmer into the lower 60s. It was 51 today, and it's 47 right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Logan Extermination. Bugs and all their creepy friends want to come inside. Call Logan Extermination to come spray your foundation and keep them out. Prices will vary depending on lot size, but start very low. Call 752-8450.
Roof Rescue is your local roofing specialist, dedicated to keeping your home safe and dry no matter the weather. Their team of experienced roofers is here to serve you, providing top-quality service at affordable prices. From minor repairs to complete roof replacements, they've got you covered. Remember, your roof is your first line of defense in protecting your family from the elements. So don't wait until the next storm to discover your roof problems. Call Roof Rescue today at 435-999-4268. They're your trusted local roofing experts, here to keep your home safe and dry. Roof Rescue, celebrating 10 years of providing watertight peace of mind.
KVNU News Time is 5:06. Smith Entertainment Group detailed more of its plans for downtown Salt Lake City, including the fate of Abravanel Hall and the Salt Palace. In a briefing before the Salt Lake City Council on Tuesday, the new owners of the National Hockey League team, formerly known as the Arizona Coyotes, spoke about their vision for the area. The SEG is seeking a 0.5% sales tax increase to pay for some of the development. The group is proposing to take $900 million to help remodel the Delta Center to accommodate both an NHL team and the Utah Jazz. But the Delta Center would then be a funnel toward a new vision of downtown, where discussions with the IOC are underway about making the district the new Metals Plaza. SEG committed that it would invest about $3 billion of its own money into the district. Plans for the downtown area have been accelerated since billionaire team owners Ryan and Ashley Smith inherited the former Coyotes team. And former Utah Jazz legend John Stockton has endorsed Riverton Mayor Trent Staggs for U.S. Senate. The famously reserved Hall of Fame point guard recently emerged from a quiet retirement to start a podcast, Voices for Medical Freedom, after he spoke out against public health measures during the COVID-19 pandemic, at times stirring up controversy. Now, Stockton is backing Staggs in the race to replace Senator Mitt Romney in Utah. Stockton said Staggs stood up to lockdowns and vaccine mandates when few were willing. During his Senate campaign, Staggs has often referred to his COVID-19 response as evidence that he is willing to take on the establishment. KVNU News Time is 5:08. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
Advanced Surgery Center of Northern Utah now has a way to keep many patients moving. ROSA Robotic Technology by Zimmer Biomet. The ROSA robot allows surgeons to personalize the approach to knee replacement. Find out whether treatment is right for you. Visit Advanced Surgery Center NorthernUtah.com. Not all patients are candidates for knee replacement with ROSA Robotics. Talk to a surgeon about whether joint replacement is right for you and the risks of the procedure, including the risks of implant wear, infection, loosening, breakage, or failure, which could require additional surgery. To set an appointment, call them today, 435-395-7171. That's 435-395-7171, or visit them at Advanced Surgery Center NorthernUtah.com. That's Advanced Surgery Center NorthernUtah.com. Disasters don't wait for a convenient time. When the unexpected strikes, call the trusted team at Blue Sky. Remember, Blue Sky is that same great ARS team you know and trust.
This is Tom with Blue Sky Restoration. When disaster strikes, whether it's a flood, fire, mold damage, or an unforeseen accident, Blue Sky will clean up, repair, and restore your home or business like it was before. No disaster is too big or too small. For all your restoration needs, you can trust our Blue Sky team.
Mother's Day is coming, and the pressure's mounting. What are you going to get her?
I can't buy her clothes because I never get the right size. I know. I'll get her candy.
So, you bought me candy. Well, isn't that special?
Visit Anderson's Seed and Garden in Logan. Give a gift that will beautify her yard and bring her joy for years to come. Annuals, pots, hanging baskets, fruits and vegetables, or trees. They have it all. Anderson's Seed and Garden, 69 West Center in Logan.
I'm Larry Gelwicks, the getaway guru for Morris Columbus Travel and AMA Waterways. Explore Europe on a deluxe river cruise, visiting Castle Country as you sail the Rhine River through the Netherlands, France, Germany, and Switzerland. To book your next AMA Waterways cruise, give us a call at Morris Columbus Travel.
Come on and get away, Morris Columbus.
If I could be you,
and you could be me,
for just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
to get inside
each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
What is dedication?
My daughter is biological and my son is adopted. I love them both so much. From the morning when you wake up to putting them to bed at night and every moment in between. I think a parent's job is to protect our children but also prepare them for the world so they become good, kind human beings.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People, Hour 2 of today's show. Beginning our spotlight on Logan Schools. We do this each... Excuse me. I never have to cough when I'm in the hallways. Step into the studio. One more time, Bill. Okay. We are beginning our spotlight on Logan Schools. This is a monthly look into the Logan School District. And, man, we have covered so much ground in the... a couple of years now, Frank, is that?
Yeah, we've been doing it. This is our second year doing it.
This has been a lot of fun. Frank Schofield, Superintendent of Logan Schools, here in the studio with us. And as he's prone to do this week, he brought guests. We're going to be talking to some students from Logan Schools about some of their achievements this year. You parents obviously are going to roll their eyes when I say this, but those out there who aren't parents, graduation is upon us, or in some cases it's already happened with certain schools around the state. It's a really busy time, not just for seniors graduating high school, but also those who will be leaving middle school going into high school, those who are just going from their sophomore year to their junior year. It's an exciting time, but it also means there are a gazillion things going on for parents and families and students and school administrators and teachers and superintendents. So I'm happy that we had some time to do this today to spotlight some of the achievements of students. And Frank, you brought into the studio with you today, correct me if I say any of this wrong, Jasper Torren?
Correct.
I got it. And Supreme Emperor of the Universe, I was told
I told you I was
to
joking.
call her Lillian Rowe. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Very nice. And, of course, Frank Schofield here with us as well, Superintendent of Logan Schools. And to the three of you, thank you for making some time for KVNU today. And, Frank, where do you want to start with these students? You have to be feeling a bit like almost a proud parent yourself nearing graduation, right?
Well, it's just awesome this time of year just to see so much of the work that students have put into the year start to come to fruition and be visible in certain accomplishments. We get to see a lot of these all through the year, but the spring is when you get end-of-year recognitions and celebrations. And these are two of our students who are some of our most recent illustrations of those things. We've seen a number this year. Earlier this year we brought in our 3 National Merit Scholarship finalists.
Oh, yeah.
Just as an update, one of those students, De-Hoon Kwang, is a scholarship recipient.
Oh, really?
So he was a National Merit Scholarship recipient. So
good
that
for
was
him.
just announced recently. We, of course, at the end of the year have all of our fine arts. Our band and orchestra have their state competitions. We had a number of students present artwork down at the Springville Art Show.
That is very cool.
In fact, I think we had more artwork. I think there was more artwork from Logan High School than from any other high school
really
in the state down at that show, which is
very cool.
An outstanding accomplishment from our students there. And, of course, we have our athletic teams that are all in state tournaments and competing and engaged in that endeavor.
Yeah.
The students we have here tonight, Jasper and Lillian, both have some unique accomplishments. Jasper is one of the very small number of students nationally who scored a perfect score on the ACT test this year.
Which is very rare.
It is an uncommon accomplishment, and it
Very
requires a significant amount of focus and determination. And he and I have spoken a little bit about kind of what process he went through and what kind of drives him there. Then Lillian is part of our high school Envirothon team, which has been around for quite a while at Logan High School. But this year, they, for only the second time in school history, won the state competition. And as Lily and I were talking, very few people even know that Envirothon exists, let alone what it involves. But it requires students to have gain significant knowledge about environmental science and its application. We have an outstanding teacher and coach at the high school, in Andrew Semedeni, who's been doing that for a number of years. He took over from Jack Green, who was kind of the founder of this years ago when he was teaching. But both Lily and Jasper are illustrations of students who have accomplished some outstanding things that require dedication, focus, and maybe they're a little bit the ones that don't always show up in the spotlight.
Sure.
But again, are illustrations of a tremendous amount of work that our students do and a high level of learning and capability that they're able to move forward with. And Lillian and Jasper are both juniors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure I didn't misstate it. So we get to have them for another year and continue to see more accomplishments like that. So we wanted to celebrate them and talk about some of the work that they've done.
This is, and speaking of spotlights, I'm getting the impression from Jasper that he doesn't like to be in the spotlight at all. But
he very kindly consented to be here tonight.
It's I'm sorry. It's just it's sort of fun to put someone in the spotlight when they don't like to be in the spotlight, because then afterwards they're like, well, that didn't hurt at all. It's honestly an honor for me to be able to play a part in this, even just as the host of the show today, to spotlight both the achievements of students at large at the schools, your specific achievements as students. But this, Frank and I have talked about this many times in different topics here on the show. I've spoken with Governor Cox, who sat in that chair.
Awesome.
He was here several months ago, and we talked about it as well. He and I disagree on the social media bill, so we had a little bit of a back and forth online, and we haven't been able to have him back since. But when he was here in the studio and first brought these up years ago, we talked about what a unique time it is for high school students, and a lot of the challenges, in high school, going out of high school into college or a trade, whatever it might be. It's just there are plenty of excuses to not excel. I don't think anyone right now would blame any 16, 17, 18-year-old kid for doing the bare minimum, and just, because it is such a unique time for children of that and growing into teens of that age. And yet here you are. It's starting with the perfect score on the ACT. Don't let anyone ever undersell that, because a group of us, when I was in high school, tried so hard. And I don't even remember how many times we took those practice tests trying to get that perfect score. None of us did. So congratulations. That's a pretty big deal. How did you do it?
Yeah. So,
any tricks you can give for other students coming up next year?
Yes, please.
Lillian's thinking.
Yeah, so I think the ACT, and especially Logan High School, which is the school that we both go to, very much gives you a lot of tools to succeed at the ACT. I know the school has a lot of after-school prep period for the ACT.
Did you do a lot of that?
A lot of prep. I didn't go to those specific classes.
I went to all of them.
You went to all of them.
But the thing I definitely did do was, on the ACT website, they have a bunch of practice tests. And so I went through all the practice tests, and then they very clearly lay out, well, not very clearly. It's quite hard to get to the page where they tell you what questions you got wrong. I think I had to, I don't quite remember how I got there, but I think I might have had to retake the test just to
see the wrong
exactly
answers.
What the wrong answers were. But if you can do that and you can see what all the answers you got wrong were, then you can really start to fill in the holes that the ACT wants you to get.
So what drove you to want to get the perfect score?
I did take the ACT as a freshman, and I got a pretty good score. I was pretty happy about it. But I thought that, well, I was a freshman, I'm now a junior, so I should probably take it again. The school has a period in their schedule where every single junior takes the ACT. And so I just decided, I should probably see how I am now. And a lot of those problem areas that I had in the first test, which is specifically English and math, I learned those from the school. The school themselves taught all of them to me.
That is... So when you discovered those areas where you were challenged a little bit more in math or in English, does that drive you, with one more year left in high school and maybe education beyond that, does that drive you to sort of double down on those topics? Or do you feel that this is just that test?
Generally, from those two subjects, math and English, that I was weak on the ACT, I quite enjoy math. So I'll be taking a lot more math next year.
You love math.
I love math. But specifically English, I'm not a massive English fan. It's fun, but it really depends on the class, and I'm not a huge fan of English.
That is, for both of you as students in general, is that a particular challenge right now with... I know every student, and probably every student you've ever spoken with, Frank, as superintendent, everyone has those things that you're just kind of, quote-unquote, naturally good at, or that come easy, and that doesn't always line up with what you enjoy or what is fun to learn in class. And the ACT is sort of distilling all of that. Is that something that, as you make your way through the high school career path, Is it easy to find help? Is it easy to find, to spot your own weak areas and then find ways to boost those up? I think a lot of parents think, with the phones in all of our hands, that information is just right there. But I talk to students, and sometimes it doesn't seem like it's any different than when the internet wasn't a thing yet. Can you expand on that a little bit for me? What makes it still a challenge?
Well, it's true.
Advice for other students. How about that?
It's true that you have a phone that has so much information or access to information on it, but you still have to find it, and that can be kind of tricky. You've got to know what the right websites are and what will actually give you the information you need.
Makes sense. It's a fun conversation because this is such a unique thing, perfect score on an ACT, but also to just in general talk about the world that you're all learning in right now, and the environment that exists. And I know for you, Frank, and for Logan Schools in general, this has been a big focus to, I can't remember how you said it a few months ago, you said that you feel what Logan Schools in general and Logan High specifically have been really good at is giving students the space to excel, not really driving them so much as administrators or teachers, just giving them the room to excel. That is a really unique way to put it. Does that, when you look at these students, when you look at Lillian and Jasper sitting here, do you see that working?
Oh yeah, I think one of the things that we know, if you look at the research that's been done over time on learning is a self-driven process by the learner, and when you can create situations, when you create environments where the learning can happen, you see excellence. Now, you require different types of guidance for different types of learning and maybe different content.
Makes sense.
But when you have people who are interested and they're drawn to a subject or they're drawn to really excelling, all you have to do is provide space and guidance, and great things happen.
Sure.
And we've talked about this before, but often people look at whatever generation is the youngest generation.
Kids these days,
and it does not matter what area you're in. There's always kids these days.
Sure.
And the perception often is, well, kids these days, they're just not focused. They're not interested in excelling. They're slackers, whatever.
Sure.
We have all sorts of language built around that. And what I love about these types of celebrations is the chance to highlight, no, that's not the norm.
Yeah.
The norm, if you create the right scenarios and the right supports, you get naturally excellence.
Sure.
And that's what we see. Now, there still have to be choices made. Lillian and her peers had to choose to put the time and the energy into learning enough about environmental science that they could go perform at a state level competition. You don't just fall into success like that. You do have to make some choices.
Well, actually.
Lillian said, I just woke up one morning an environmental science expert.
It's just good. We will
go ahead. Correct me there, Lillian. Correct the record.
We actually all met the day before we left to go to the competition, and we made our presentation in the car on the way down to Beaver. And yeah, we barely even had a team.
So you refined as you were driving.
Yep.
Is that how it?
So what I would say there, because we're going to still go with my position. What I would say there is you have students who have developed the underlying skills that allowed that to happen. Because if we were to talk about your grades and how you perform in your classes, you're a good student.
Yeah.
You do well.
I'd like to think so.
Well, and you put effort in. Someone who chooses to go to every available ACT prep class is not someone who's just floating through school.
Yeah.
Sure.
They're making effort. And when you make effort, good things happen, even when those good things aren't the ones you were explicitly making effort for.
Sure.
And we see that all, there's a great line from The Incredibles when, this is a tangent, but there is a connection. Edna Mode is making the suit for Jack, the baby.
Yeah.
And puts all these things in the suit. And the mom goes, "What do you think he's going to be doing?" And she goes, "I don't know, darling. Luck favors the prepared."
Yeah.
When you've prepared, when you've built foundational skills, you can be thrown into unnatural or unusual or novel situations and find that you have the ability to thrive in those scenarios because you have underlying skills.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the illustration of Envirothon shows clearly. If you have people who've developed underlying skills, you can perform at a high level in novel situations.
You can throw them in a car for a 4-hour drive, and when they show up, they're prepared. But again, don't undersell that, because not every person could do that. To Frank's point, I think you do have to be in a position where you're able to do that. And by the way, I'm a defender of approaching things that way, not intentionally, but it does happen. And I was
the best things happen by chance. Right?
That's right. But you do have to have that foundation to even take advantage of the chance that pops up. And that's what I think for both of you that is gone. So I have to ask a little bit: is there a little bit? So with taking these ACT classes, is there a little bit of rivalry here, where Jasper has nailed that perfect score? Are you, Lillian? He's not going to be the only one.
It's kind of awkward with him sitting right here, but there has been a bit of a one-sided rivalry.
That's fair. I think that's fair, because look, he's sitting there on his high horse right now, with wearing that hat that he brought in that says "perfect score" on the ACT. No, I think that's healthy and fun too. It's part of the process. We'll get more into this, and I want to talk more about this Envirothon, because a lot of people don't know what this is, and knowing what little I know about it, I know this is a really aggressive environment of competition that is right up there with any of the athletic sports playoff competitions and things like that. And to have Logan High, we'll talk about it. In the studio with us right now, we have Superintendent of Logan Schools, Frank Schofield. We have Mr. Perfect Score on the ACT, Jasper Torrens, here in the studio. He said I had to call him Mr. And Lillian Rowe, who on the other side is going to explain to us what the Envirothon is and give everybody a picture of what competing in this entails, and prepping for this as well. A pleasure to be able to spotlight these two Logan High students. And correct me, you said you're a junior, Jasper?
Yes.
And you, Lillian, are headed to be a junior?
I am a junior.
You are a junior this year. Okay, so you'll both be seniors next year. So before the end of the show, we'll also talk about what their future plans are, because I know juniors heading into their senior year love to talk about that kind of thing. Fun to spotlight the achievements of these students. And remember, these are just two students out of hundreds that are getting the opportunity in Logan School District at large to find this space to excel, as Frank has called it. So stick around, help us celebrate these students. If you have questions or comments, you're also welcome to join us, 753-5868. Now a quick look at the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 5:31, and the news is brought to you by Bell Medical. Utah District 1 Representative Blake Moore took a break from his work in Congress and held a brief radio town hall Monday afternoon during KVNU's For the People program. During the program, a listener was concerned about communication, that much of what happens in Congress is being told on cable news. Moore was asked if that bothers him and how should people get their news when it comes to that.
Actually, there's some truth to that local news does a whole lot better of actually communicating the things that are important. Cable news is now reliant based on clicks. It's now reliant based on sensationalism. And I've cut it out of my diet completely. I follow the Wall Street Journal editorial board. I follow this thing called The Flip Side. That's a good daily periodical that just one email a day that says like what the right's saying, what the left is saying.
Moore said people need to lean on their own critical thinking more. Moore said there's always a motivation for politicians to use social media if they're trying to drive anger and discord. Chad Daybell court proceedings are moving into week 5 with more family, friends, and experts expected to testify. Tuesday started with Zulema Pastanez, who was married to Alex Cox, being called to the witness stand. She began her testimony by sharing how she met Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell, and eventually Alex Cox in 2018. She also shared details about the dynamics between Vallow and Chad Daybell. On Monday, FBI Special Agent Steve Daniels was called to testify and shared evidence found at the crime scene, including graphic photos of when the remains of J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan were found. Additionally, Melanie Pulowski, Lori Vallow Daybell's niece, as well as her husband Ian, were called to testify on Monday. And Salt Lake City police are investigating a shooting that injured a 20-year-old man Tuesday afternoon. They say they took a 16-year-old girl into custody. Police said that at about 3:15 p.m., officers responded to a report of a person with a gunshot wound in an apartment. Officers on the scene discovered a 20-year-old man with a gunshot wound in his leg and provided medical treatment. The man was taken to a hospital with injuries that did not appear life-threatening. Police said a 16-year-old girl on the scene was arrested, and they believe the shooting may have been related to domestic violence. KVNU News Time is 5:33.
Wouldn't it be nice to lose a minimum of 2 to 5 inches of fat, just like that? At Bell Medical, with our uniquely patented FDA-cleared procedures, we are able to permanently remove that stubborn, hormonal fat that almost seems impossible to get rid of. And we are able to do it in a way that is so precise, we can guarantee a minimum of 2 to 5 inches of fat loss after 1 visit with us.
Schedule your free consultation at our bountiful clinic at bellmedical.com and let us make your dreams a reality.
ABC News, I'm Daria Albinger. Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene tried and failed to get the House to remove Mike Johnson as Speaker. Now he says it's time to get back to work.
They made their voices heard on the motion to vacate matter, and now we have very important work to do for the country. There are a lot of things to fix.
Only 11 Republicans voted not to table Greene's resolution. A Georgia appeals court says it will hear former President Trump's appeal of the ruling that will allow Fani Willis to remain on the state's election interference case. The cleanup is underway across Michigan, which was hit hard by yesterday's tornado outbreak. There are tornado watches tonight in effect from Texas to Kentucky. Ukrainian President Zelensky says Russian forces carried out what he's calling a massive attack on the country's power grid with a barrage of more than 50 missiles and drones. Stocks closed mixed. This is ABC News.
KVNU weather, we do have a wind advisory in effect from 6 a.m. Thursday to 10 a.m. Friday for the Utah portion of the Cache Valley, also eastern Box Elder County and down along the Wasatch Front. Northeast winds 20 to 30, gusts up to 55 miles per hour. A strong possibility starting tomorrow. Tonight, slight chance of rain showers this evening, mid-30s, windy, chance of rain showers in the morning, chance of showers and a slight chance of thunderstorms in the afternoon. Tomorrow, partly sunny, warmer, high in the lower 60s. It's been to 51. It's 50 right now at KVNU. Mount Logan Laundry has 55 and 80-pound washers to make your stay much shorter, located in Logan and Brigham City. Get more news at CacheValleyDaily.com.
Fatigue, headaches, weight gain, hair loss, insomnia, anxiety, intestinal issues, joint pain. Do you suffer from consistent symptoms like these, and no matter how many doctors you see, things still don't improve? Whether you have a thyroid problem, an autoimmune issue, or chronic symptoms, we can help. We do complex medical testing and blood work to find the mechanisms driving your symptoms. And then we create a plan to improve each one while we teach you the tools to stay on top of your health. We've been helping patients just like you for almost 14 years now. We see patients from all over the world, and we have an office here in St. George, Logan, Salt Lake, Farmington, and Springville. You aren't crazy, you aren't lazy. It's not just because you're getting older, and these symptoms are not normal. No matter what symptoms you have, you shouldn't feel this way, and we can help. Don't accept Band-Aid answers.
Call Red River Health and Wellness at 855-55-RIVER.
Call Red River today.
With the arrival of spring, Cache Stormwater Coalition wants to remind us all of 5 simple things we can do to improve our local water source. Pick up and dispose of pet waste. Sweep up and remove loose grass clippings or leaves from sidewalks and hard surfaces. Sweep fertilizers or other lawn chemicals back onto the grassy areas. Wash equipment or vehicles on the grass or at your favorite local professional car wash. And properly dispose of used automotive fluids or dry up and clean up any spills or leaks. We can all make a difference if we do our part. Brought to you by the Cache Stormwater Coalition.
Hi, this is Ryan Leishman with Aero Fence. With over 75 years combined experience in design and construction of fences, we're looking forward to helping you find the right solution to your commercial or residential fencing projects. At Aero Fence, we offer professional consulting to help you find the exact design, structure, and materials for your project. We're confident Aero Fence can provide you with the quality and value you expect. We can help you whether you build it or we build it. Aero Fence, located at 1800 North, 730 West, or Google us at aero-fence.com.
I'm Larry Gelwicks, the Getaway Guru. Join me on The Travel Show every Saturday at 11 a.m., and I'll tell you where to go and how to get there with the best travel deals on the planet, including how to travel more and pay less, free this and free that promotions, and insider secrets on what the airlines, cruise lines, and hotels don't want you to know, along with your call-in travel questions every Saturday, 11 a.m., right here on News Talk 610 KVNU.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Speaking in the studio here today with some students from Logan High, Superintendent Frank Schofield here for our monthly spotlight on Logan Schools. And in the studios, we have students Lillian, Rowe, and Jasper Torren. And I want to thank them again for coming down to do this. I know it's not comfortable, it's not fun to be in the spotlight in this way, but hopefully you're inspiring other students. Hopefully you're inspiring other parents as well that are maybe feeling, when we talk to parents, and Frank, you and I have discussed this many times, but when we talk to parents, what we hear almost always, the parents are feeling a bit overwhelmed. And part of it is the world changes a lot faster now. Technology changes a lot faster, and it's easier for parents to feel maybe a little out of the loop, and their kids are using words they don't even know what they mean anymore, like chuggy.
Okay, I don't know what that one means.
Yeah, I don't know that one. My kids will have to teach me.
I think for my generation, the equivalent was bougie when someone was a little full of themselves, but now it's chuggy. During the break, I was talking with Jasper and Lillian about social media. Can you be in this always connected world that everyone's in these days and achieve the things you two have achieved as students and still spend as much time on social media as the average high school student does? And they shamed me because they don't and I do. So
that's not what happened.
I have to look at my own list of achievements recently as a grown adult. Because honestly, your generation is hilarious on TikTok. I discovered that during the pandemic. Funny stuff. Is that the case though? Do you make a conscious decision to be less online than maybe your peers are?
I would say that I'm not on social media that often, but I do spend most of the time other teenagers on social media, like playing video games. So
okay.
I don't think I do any more work because I'm not on social media.
Sure. So you're able to still be a kid, basically,
yeah.
And that's very cool. And you, Lillian, you say you don't have an Instagram account.
I've never had an Instagram account
really?
Before. I've never wanted one either.
I can understand that, actually. Do you feel, because I've heard this from parents, well, if they're not there, they feel left out. Do you feel left out? Do you have FOMO sometimes? Or is it...
I feel like the only thing I really miss out on is stuff I don't care about, like internet celebrity drama or whatever.
Pictures of grilled cheese sandwiches.
Yeah, I don't like cheese.
Cats.
So.
Yeah, I'd say that all my friends still have my phone number. They can still text me.
Sure.
We still have direct messaging, And so I don't really feel like I'm missing out because all the people who I would want to hear from can just tell me about it.
Sure. That's an interesting perspective and cool to hear. And again, for those who are just tuning in, the successes for these two students we've been talking about, Jasper achieved a very rare thing for high school students in general, a perfect score on the ACT as a high school junior. And Lillian competed in something called an Envirothon that, if you're not familiar with this, we're going to ask Lillian to explain it herself now, how it works. But this is a really aggressive competition. I find it fascinating, and I'd like to talk to the people who came up with this in the first place. But can you explain to listeners how this works? How do you compete in an Envirothon?
So it's in a different district every year. This year it was in Beaver, so no one was there except for the Envirothon people. And you go down, and on the first day you give a presentation about a environmental science topic, and then the next day you go to 5 field stations and you learn something, and then you take a test.
That is, what was your experience at the field stations?
This was my second year doing Envirothon.
Really?
Yeah, last year we had 2 Logan High teams, and we tied for second overall.
Really?
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
That's funny. Competing against that's very cool, though. Is this something you plan to sort of turn into a career, or you're not thinking about that yet?
I do love science, and somebody on my team is going to go into wildlife ecology. I should probably mention them. But
okay.
We met on Wednesday, so I don't know any of their last names, just their first names.
That's all right.
It's Eliza, Rachel, Owen, and Ivan.
Okay. The other team members?
Yeah.
And so there is a team member that has, that's a very specific career pursuit. For you, do you feel, if you had to guess, do you see yourself ending up in a scientific career of some kind as a researcher?
Definitely science, yeah.
Really?
For sure.
That is definitely job security there right now, especially environmental science in general. How did you get interested in this?
It's funny. Semadeni was my homeroom teacher last year, and I had just moved back from Australia, actually.
Really?
Yeah. And so it was the end of the school year, and we do this thing at Logan High called L pins, which you get like. You can get points, and then you can earn the pin by doing like extracurricular activities. So they were passing around the sheets to like record the points you got that year, and I wanted to know what everything on the sheet was, and so I foolishly asked Mr. Semadeni about Envirothon, and I had to go after that.
After it was explained to you, huh?
Yeah. He was like, "Do you want to go?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds kind of fun." And then I was locked in.
That's fun. That's, I think, the best way to get involved in something, almost by accident, right? Mm-hmm. For you, Jasper, what do you see yourself pursuing? Either if you want to stick to your senior year, or if you want to go beyond that in your answer.
Yeah. So beyond senior year, I'm thinking about going in one of, well, 2 practical directions. Well, one practical direction, one aspirational direction, and then one extremely aspirational direction.
So one you can see is most likely one is a pie in the sky kind of, okay.
Yeah. So that would be the first one. I'll start with the least practical first, so then I can talk more about the practical thing. But least practical, I kind of want to go into board game design.
Really?
I really like board games. Then I kind of want to be a musician. I'm playing the trumpet right now with the Logan High Band. I'm having a great time. I love playing the trumpet. I love music in general. But most practically, I probably am going into chemistry or maybe physics. After I took AP chemistry, I've really fallen, I don't know the phrase. I've really fallen in love with chemistry.
Sure. I think it's a good phrase because that is sort of how this happens as you discover the things that really interest you, really grab your attention. I think regardless of your age, you know when that happens, right? You know when you've landed on that thing that you think could actually become a career or be an interest throughout the rest of your life. And chemistry is a good choice as well. That's interesting. So you would, if you ended up being a session musician, playing trumpet, recording for famous bands, you'd be equally as satisfied as if you ended up in some sort of chemistry research role working alongside Lillian?
Probably.
That's very cool. That is. Another question for you both. You hear this phrase all the time, and I don't know, Frank, if this is still used, if this is still the way it's expressed to students. But I remember in high school hearing constantly, you need well-rounded experiences. You can't just be focused on science alone or mathematics alone or music alone. You need a little bit of everything. Does that come easy as you find yourself, hitting these moments of success that very much deserve the spotlight that they're getting here today, but also that they get elsewhere throughout your academic career? Do you find that there are other things that come easy just for fun in your classes?
Yeah, for sure. I took a concurrent enrollment class last semester, Art 1010. It wasn't painting, although I am in a painting class now. It was art history. I was top of that class, and I don't see it as a profession, although I think it'd be really fun. But I know a lot of paintings now, and I keep looking up more art and artists.
That's interesting. That is very, very cool to see, like, the varied interests in general. This, back to you, Frank, for a second. This is something I know is also a focus at Logan High. I don't remember how it was expressed to me, but an educator at Logan High said it is really easy for us as educators to accidentally sort of trap kids into a certain path when they're succeeding. And we've made a conscious effort to not do that here, to keep all doors open. How do you do that? How do you make sure a student can explore and find interests that maybe last forever, sometimes fade quickly?
Yeah, I think there are a couple ways. One of them is what Lillian mentioned with the L-Pin. The L-Pin is a recognition that Logan High has had for decades. I won't say, I don't know exactly how many decades, but it's been around for a long time. And the idea is we're recognizing and encouraging a breadth of experiences, recognizing that, we want to find that balance in high school between specializing in an area that you are really passionate about and developing a high level of skill in that area, which is why you have things like concurrent enrollment and AP to allow students to say, you know what, this is something I really enjoy. I want to keep pursuing this. So on one hand, you have the desire to help students find that passion and pursue it, while at the same time saying, as you pursue this passion, we all have other things that we also enjoy.
Sure.
There are very few successful one-dimensional people who have one area of interest and they don't try to do anything else. So what we try to say is let's find that thing you're passionate about, and let's find ways to help you excel in that. And at the same time, let's make sure you have exposure to all of these other things. So you may be really passionate about the hard sciences, and then you take an art history class and say, wow, that was really fun.
Sure.
That was me. I had a college professor. He taught history of world civilizations, but he did it all through the history of art.
That's interesting.
So he tied political and economic revolutions to the art of the period and showed, here's how this illustrates changes in political philosophy. It was fascinating.
That is fascinating.
Loved it. So that's, I think, what we try to do. So there are structures like the L-Pin. You try to provide a variety of activities. We have a ton of clubs at Logan High School.
I actually run the Shakespeare Club at Logan High.
Oh, really?
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So you get some that are very targeted, like the Shakespeare Club, and then you get things like Random Fandom that are whatever people decide they want it to be, from role-playing and board games to a whole bunch of other stuff. We do have a board games club, don't we?
I believe we have a chess club.
We have a chess club. Okay. So I think that's what happens and then you get adults in the building who buy into that idea.
Sure.
And they're consciously thinking about how do I help students find that passion and expand their awareness of other things that can continue to build them up.
That is very cool, because it is kind of a careful balance of the two, right?
Yeah, if you fall too far to one side, if you just focus on pursuing that one passion, you end up limiting, as it's been stated. You end up putting people in boxes. And public education should not be about putting people in boxes. It should be about identifying skills and passions, and then allowing people to develop the skills and the behaviors that let them, identify their own path and their own definitions, not definitions that have been created for them by the school.
This is kind of displaying here how complex this is to get it right, but also two examples here in the studio, Lillian and Jasper, of what happens when you do. From eclectic interests and abilities to achieve at the same time exceptional things. It's kind of exactly the perfect ending from a school's perspective to see students like Jasper and Lillian who can still have fun, although Lillian hates Instagram, but that's fine. Still have fun and still be kids. And yet, again, for our listeners here in the studio, Jasper with a perfect score on the ACT, a very rare thing for high school juniors throughout the nation where the ACT is given. But he did it. And Lillian, who competes in a very aggressive competition called the Envirothon, representing Logan Schools and Logan High. If you'd like to know more about the Envirothon, by the way, I've linked to a really cool site with some video on this overall competition, and you might be interested, or your own student might be interested in getting involved in future years. And we'll keep the conversation going. If you have a question or a comment, 753-5868. We'll be back with more right after this.
You define a country by its borders, and you can define its leaders by how they defend those borders. And Joe Biden has failed. The Biden-Harris border policies have led to millions of illegal crossings and allowed tens of thousands of pounds of deadly drugs onto our streets. Their failures are making America less secure and costing American lives. That's why in Congress, Mike Simpson has been unwavering in his commitment to secure America's border. Mike Simpson understands that we're facing an invasion, and we must defend our country by building the wall, increasing Border Patrol agents, and halting open border policies. Mike Simpson has led the charge on these issues, co-sponsoring bills that would empower law enforcement to detain criminals who are also illegal immigrants and prohibit illegal immigrants from receiving driver's licenses and Social Security benefits. Call Congressman Mike Simpson at 208-334-1953 and thank Mike Simpson for putting America's security first. Paid for by Defending Main Street.
Hi everyone, this is Tyson Savage at Truck Ranch in Logan. With signs of spring in the air and summer sure to follow, it's time to dust off those toys and get ready for boating, camping, biking, and all the other fun activities that come with the warmer weather. If the thought of that makes you realize your truck is not up to the task and it's time to upgrade, I invite you to come to Truck Ranch in Logan and see our awesome selection of pre-owned trucks. We have trucks in every price range, and with interest rates starting to come down, we can help you get the best rate and payment possible. Bring your trade-in and come see why we always deliver better service, better prices, better trucks. In South Logan next to Walmart, or visit us online at truckranch.com.
Thank you for voting in this year's Best of Northern Utah contest, presented by the Cater Shop Menswear Store. A record 816,000 votes were cast this year, and over 1,500 businesses were nominated. Soon we'll announce the gold and silver winners, and you'll be able to pick up your own free copy of the Winners magazine. Please support all of our local businesses and shop local. Local business is the heart of our community. Thanks again for your support in this year's Best of Northern Utah contest.
Best of Northern Utah.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Speaking in the studio here with Lillian Rowe and Jasper Torren, students at Logan High who have excelled and achieved some things while still being kids, as we've discussed, while still finding ways to have fun. And Frank Schofield, superintendent of Logan Schools. This is an unfair question to wrap up on for both of you because we only have 4 minutes here, but it's a great question that came from a listener. Listener said, are there times when you have just gotten so discouraged you almost threw in the towel on all of this?
It is a constant roller coaster because, like, I'll feel like I'm doing so good. I'm like, oh, I'm top of my classes. Oh, I know everything. I can do all the problems. I can do all the practice work. And then like I feel like later that same day I'm like I'm never going to achieve anything.
I'm done.
Yeah.
How do you get past that, or does it just burn itself out?
It does pass. Like I said, it's a roller coaster. Just keeps going up and down and up and down. But I mean, I find it really useful to just work through like the slumps, because what else are you gonna do?
Sure. And for you, Jasper?
I'd say that generally I don't get too discouraged when I'm not doing too well in the class.
Sure.
But there are a couple times I've thrown in the towel just because I just felt like I wasn't up to the level of the work, or I had too much workload. And the great thing about Logan High is that if a class just doesn't work for you, there is this period of time during the start of the school year or the start of each semester where you can swap to a different class if that class is just not right for you.
Sure.
You can be exploratory towards topics you would think you might not like, because there's always the option of leaving early.
Changing early in the
and
class period.
If I can just
That's
build on
interesting.
that for just a moment, because I think one thing that does happen sometimes, either with highly motivated students and sometimes with highly motivated parents, is we can say, okay, you got to push through. You got to take these classes, and if you don't take these classes, you're going to lose these opportunities. And the reality is, you need to do well in the courses that you take.
Sure.
And if there's something that just isn't connecting with you, and you're just not feeling that passion, or you're recognizing there's an awareness of, with everything I'm involved in, this class is just not the right fit for me right now.
Sure.
That's okay. That's not a bad thing to do. It's good to be aware of what those realities are and make a plan to accommodate them, and everything's still going to turn out fine. No one's going to lose opportunities. No one's not going to get into college or whatever opportunity they're looking for after high school because they didn't force themselves to push through a challenge that, to be honest, was just not the right challenge at that time.
And we're seeing that here today. Just a quick observation for me as we wrap up here. Just getting to know you for a brief period of time, Lillian and Jasper. The one thing I would say about you both, and maybe this is tied to your success in certain areas, you both really know who you are as individuals, as students, and that seems to be a pretty important factor in all of this. Frank, thanks for making these happen, as always. To Lillian and Jasper, thank you for making the time. I hope it's been a pleasant experience. I'm going to remember both your names so that one day when you're some famous in certain way, I can